Fleur, thank you very much. Fleur is joining me today to talk about breathing, which sounds bizarre because it's something that we think, well, I just breathe all the time. But actually, Fleur, you're a breathwork instructor and you focus mainly on breathwork and the menopause.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I think, I'm certainly not the only person that is interested in what can we do? How does our breathing affect the menopause?
Okay. Right. Yes, it is true. We all breathe because otherwise we wouldn't be alive. But the issue is, how do we breathe? Nobody's actually told us how to breathe properly. And most people, I would even say 95% of people, breathe in a dysfunctional way. We don't breathe properly. And how can this interact with menopause when we're going through perimenopause, menopause, but even how it affects in our whole life, but especially the menopause? The way we breathe influences our autonomic nervous system. So this means whether we are in a fight-flight mode or whether we are in a parasympathetic, in a relax and digest mode. It also affects our intra-abdominal pressure, so it also affects our pelvic floor, but it affects our sleep. And what happens when we're coming through the perimenopause and the menopause, and even post-menopause, we have a 200% more possibility of developing snoring and obstructive sleep apnea. And all this comes back to, how are we breathing in our everyday? So how should we be breathing? We should be breathing in and out through our nose.
Oh, I'm terrible at doing that.
Right. Our nose is for breathing. Our nose is part of our respiratory system. And our mouth is part of our digestive system. Now, we wouldn't eat through our nose. So why do we tend to breathe through our mouth? When we're talking about functional breathing, we have to also think of the biochemistry. So when I look at breathing, okay, I've trained in the Buteyko method and in also oxygen advantage and in other methods, but those are the ones that I focus on. When we're talking about breathing, we have to think of the relationship of carbon dioxide and oxygen.
Right.
And carbon dioxide is actually the primary stimulus for our breathing. And it is extremely important for the oxygen that is in our blood system to be delivered to our cells, our organs, our brain, our heart, our tissues, our muscles, etc. If we are breathing through our mouth, we're getting rid of too much carbon dioxide.
Okay.
So then our levels of carbon dioxide reduce, so the oxygen delivery isn't optimal.
That's very interesting.
So then we start having the sensation that we don't have enough air, that we can't get a deep breath.
And presumably, sorry, I feel like I've just answered my own question, Fleur. You've answered my question already. Is that actually in menopause, I have women say, and we talk about hot flushes, but hands down, the symptom that everyone comes to me with, 97% anecdotally of my patients have anxiety. And actually, if you aren't getting the correct delivery of oxygen, then that's going to contribute to feeling anxious.
This is the thing. For instance, if you're in your car, okay, you're driving along and suddenly a dog comes out in front of your car and you slam your brakes on, how does your breathing change?
I would presume it would get quicker.
Right? Upper chest, and you might even start sort of like panting.
Yeah.
Okay, not pant, but you would go, oh dear, and you might, feel all as you've gone into fight-flight mode.
Right.
Okay, how does the women who are going through anxiety with perimenopause, menopause symptoms, how are they breathing? They're breathing upper chest.
Right.
Their breathing is superficial, much faster. So they're sending signals to the brain that they're in a fight-flight response. There's something happening. There's a stress. And the brain is also interpreting that there's a stress, because the brain doesn't know whether it's a real stress, whether it's fictional, whether it was in past, whether it's in future, because of our thoughts. but it's responding to the way we're breathing. So then it's sending signals back to the body to say, there's something going on, so we have to stay in a fight-flight mode. Okay? So when we're in a fight-flight mode, we're breathing faster, we are breathing superficial, we're breathing with the upper chest, we're not breathing in a deep way, we're not breathing where the diaphragm is contracting fully, and we're having that pump action also on our digestive system, our lymph, our blood circulation, and we're not getting the optimal oxygen delivery. So then that feeds back into, I can't get a proper breath. I feel like I'm out of breath, which also then feeds back into that fight-flight response. How should we be breathing? We should be breathing in and out through our nose. So that means we have to have our mouth closed. We're not clenching, but our lips should be together. And another important aspect, where is your tongue right now?
On the roof of my mouth.
Brilliant. That is where it should be.
I was just thinking, where else would I put it?
Okay. But a lot of people, it's down
Resting.
below. Yes, it's down below. It should be on the roof of our mouth.
I've never thought about my tongue before.
Yeah, the tongue is actually extremely important, and the tongue is actually one of the causes, if it's not in the right position, that we can start snoring because our mouth falls open, so our tongue falls down and back, and it can obstruct a little bit our airway in the back of our throat, and this can lead to snoring, and that can eventually lead to sleep apnea. So how should we breathe? In and out through our nose. Our breathing should be silent. We shouldn't hear our breathing. Our breathing should be with a more active inhalation and a longer exhalation. Okay, that's a normal breath. And the breath, we shouldn't be feeling any movement in our thorax. It should be with our diaphragm. And with our diaphragm, that doesn't mean that our belly is moving in and out forcefully. There is a little bit of a movement of our belly, but that is because of the change of the pressure from the thorax into our abdomen. But it's not because we are forcefully moving our abdomen, our belly muscles.
Not pushing it out.
We're not pushing it out, no. What we want is actually our diaphragm, which lies in the lower region of our rib cage, to contract and then to relax. When it contracts, it flattens down, and then when it relaxes, it comes back up to its dome shape. And so what do we need? We need our ribs to move out to the sides, move frontward slightly, and to the back. So we're opening our thorax. And this is where the air can then come in through the nose and go into the lower lobes of our lungs. And that is where we have the blood circulation, and that is where we have the gas diffusion. When we're breathing through our nose, we're also allowing our carbon dioxide levels to be optimal. When we have optimal carbon dioxide levels, then this means that we will have a good delivery of oxygen from the blood into our tissues, muscles, organs, etc., etc.
Therefore, having a positive impact on all of those pesky menopause symptoms
Exactly.
that are plaguing the life out of
Exactly.
51% of women.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Thank you, Fleur. That was very concise.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.